What's up, everybody? Sid and Millie.
Yeah,
We're back. What are we talking about today, Millie?
Today we're going to be chatting about nature and one of the legends of nature, David Attenborough. His 100th birthday just came up, and we just want to talk about a little bit of like his influence and all those sorts of things. So that's what we're going to get into.
Cool, that sounds good to me, Millie. Yeah, absolutely. Big happy 100th birthday to David
100
Attenborough.
years old. 100. I mean, yeah, I know. That's crazy. Crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy. I mean, yeah, what? I really
well, basically, like David Attenborough has been in the business for forever. He has been making documentaries since maybe I want to say the 1950s, long before
Wow.
my time. But that is almost 80 years of being dedicated to bringing awareness to climate, to nature, to the impact that humans were having on the world around us. And yeah, he's just been a massively influential character in bringing awareness to these issues.
Absolutely.
But I think like my thing though is that like in his 80 years of trying to bring awareness and like raise these issues, have humans really actually made the progress? Have we actually recognized the message that David was putting out there and like acted on the warnings that we have been given time and time and time again?
Yeah, it's always so funny to me seeing like even protests from decades and decades and decades ago.
Yeah.
And it's like we're still protesting the same issues today
Yeah.
that have been protested over time.
Yeah.
With regards to like the climate change generally.
100%.
And like species going extinct and things like that. And David Attenborough has and he's brought a lot of attention and awareness to those things that we wouldn't have otherwise known about. I mean, it's just so many things that we don't really hear about in day-to-day life, and he has brought a lot of that awareness to the general public.
Yeah, and so like the thing is with that kind of awareness that's brought, I think we have to kind of pair like what the point of bringing awareness to issues are, because we as like the people who are observing like information like that and getting the information like that from people who are down in the fields, it's supposed to provoke action within us, right? Like we're supposed to be voting the appropriate ways that's going to protect our climate and protect our longevity as a species on this planet. That is the goal of someone bringing awareness to these sorts of issues and being such an active person and making hundreds of documentaries. Like the point is to provoke action, is to provoke it within us to recognize the connection we have to our planet and cherish our planet. Like that is the point that he's been trying to get across for literally the better part of 80 years.
Which is just crazy.
Yeah, it's a crazy amount of time. And obviously he is just one, person who's been advocating and been, kind of like the face of advocation for climate. But there have been tons of scientists throughout that 80 years that David Attenborough has been doing this, who have presented data, who have spoken in front of Congress, spoken in front of World Health Organization, spoken in front of the UN, and tried to raise the alarm about the issues with climate and the expiration of climate change and those sorts of things. And so David Attenborough, along with all of these other scientists, have been fighting this uphill battle to provoke the whatever it is within the rest of us that will make us stand up for our climate.
Yeah, 100%. And it's also just so frustrating because we as like the people can only do so much.
Yeah, it's
and
so
we
true.
really do
It's so
see
true.
like a lot of suppression of actual change coming from the government. And like it's so funny, I think about the movie Don't Look Up. Of like when they were trying to explain like, hey, this meteor is about to be hitting Earth, we need to do something about it. And it's like that movie, I mean, I'm just tying all of this back into this because that movie really exemplified the damage that like capitalism has also done to our ability to actually appreciate and worship our Earth. And like
100%.
we're just consistently extracting all of the resources out of the earth and not giving anything back. And I feel like climate scientists, David Attenborough, they've all been trying to like bring awareness and drive change for these things, and we just haven't seen massive
not the dramatic change that we would need to actually like save our species in the long run. And that's kind of like the scary part about it. It's thinking that in the lifetime of someone who is now 100 years old, we've still failed to make the dramatic changes that we should have made now to, you know, be slowing this process. Because the warming of our planet, it's undisputable, right? Like, you know, people love to argue and say that it's a natural ebb and flow of our planet and try and ignore the human contributions to that. But the reality is every time our planet goes into a new segment of its existence, whether that's an ice age, whether that's a global heating, whether that's a million-year rainstorm, right? Like whether the next thing that happens to our Earth's climate, whatever we accelerate, we don't know what the impact of that's going to be. Humans have not survived a cataclysmic event on Earth before, so we wouldn't want it to get to that point before we try and then start making dramatic changes. Like the changes have to happen immediately, because we've lost so many species, we've lost so much rainforest, so many of these important ecosystems, and like that's like really scary to think about. Despite all of the advocates that have been preaching about the damages and like the harm that it can bring in the future. So yeah.
100%. So yeah, I mean, I feel like on that note, Millie, like why don't humans worship the earth that we live on?
I honestly don't know. I genuinely don't know. It's really sad and surprising that humans haven't kind of grasp the connection with nature. And yeah, kind of like what you were reiterating on, like we take so much out of the earth. And even if you just think about what the name of a fossil fuel is, right? Like a fossil fuel is because of organisms that died millions of years ago on our planet, and then that pressure from sediment building on top of them, that's what pressurizes and becomes fossil fuel. And we don't put anything back into the earth, we're just extracting. And yeah, I think it's like it's a dangerous cycle, it's a slippery slope. And now in this age with David Attenborough hitting 100 years old, I think it's like so important that the next wave of people, including us, just continue to keep preaching about how important it is to protect the environment, protect nature, and we have to take like climate change extremely seriously.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it's not really something that lawmakers or anyone actually seems to care about.
Yeah, which is massively sad, because you know all of these. And just another thing that I was thinking about is just like they trick us into, you know, suffering using these little, you know, degradable straws and stuff. Meanwhile, you've got Kim Kardashian and Taylor Swift flying on their private jets everywhere, burning tons of jet fuel on their private flights, you know. And that really exasperates just like the delusion of our society right now, where we, the masses, are essentially forced to suffer with worse and worse products and less across the board, just so that a select few, a group of 1,000 billionaires, can live in extreme luxury. They pay millions of dollars for their yachts. They live in overabundance, and they hoard wealth at the point of mental illness. And they are the ones that are truly destroying our planet. It is them, like their contribution to CO2 emissions from their private flights alone and from their yachts alone is more than any of us could contribute in a year. So just like if I recycle and I use these shitty straws and I, you know, do all the right things, it still doesn't matter if Kim Kardashian is still flying her private jet everywhere, because she is contributing 20, 30 times more than any of us normal people are. So like that really like highlights like the predatory nature of climate change itself. Like it is being exasperated by people who are enjoying immense levels of luxury, while the masses, you know, are the people who are getting hit with the hurricanes and they can just jet out. And meanwhile, you know, whole cities are getting flooded. And what are they doing to help that? Are any of them donating any of their money to help rebuild any place that's destroyed by climate change? Of course not. but then they'll be the first ones who are complaining about taxes. Meanwhile, they're earning billions of dollars. Like it's unwell. Like it's got to be a mental illness. It's got to be. And like these people are accelerating climate change, and they control all of the media outlets, which is why we aren't actually pointing the finger at who the real cause of the issue is.
100%.
And I don't want to say like the blame is not on the consumer at all, because obviously we can cut down on our meat consumption, we can cut down on our poultry, on our all of those sorts of things we could also cut down on, which would also help fight against climate change. But I just think that the individual contribution is so much less when there are people at the top that are expending so much more than the rest of us.
Yeah, 100%. I just also would like to say, like, people who are climate change deniers, like, they love that.
Yeah,
they love that, because if you'll fight their battles for them, they don't have to do anything.
Yeah, and they don't have to change.
Yeah, it's just like that also gives such cult energy.
Yeah,
because you're just defending the people at the top who don't actually care about
and guess what? All of those billionaires, they've got bunkers in New Zealand. Just so you know, New Zealand has the most amount of bunkers of any place on Earth, and it's all the billionaire bunkers. So why do you think, I mean, you don't have a bunker out in New Zealand?
So if we ever see a mass exodus of billionaires,
well, we
if
probably
anyone's
won't know,
tracking
right?
the flights like that, if you see a lot of billionaires going to New Zealand, please let us know.
Sound the alarm.
Please tell the rest of us.
Yeah, but yeah, so essentially, like, to Sid's point, like, you know, there isn't really a point. They love that, the upper class, they love when society is divided, because then we're easier to control and manipulate because we're fighting amongst each other. But again, like our plastic straw, our bamboo straws, whatever they're made out of, that is not going to save our environment. We need real change from like the top to the bottom. Like we need billionaires to give up their immense luxury and stop polluting with their private jets and their private flights and their private yachts. And then we need real change on the like legal in like the lawmaker realm, and we've got to force clean energy in. Like everything needs to be renewables. I mean, our sun can provide so much energy.
Facts.
I think like you can see clearly what China is doing with their energy development, and it's literally unbelievable. And so there's really no excuse. Like you're seeing a real like country in China doing all of the right things in terms of their energy generation and trying to promote and expand their clean energy. And it's really just baffling that the rest of the Western world is not keeping up with their development and isn't taking climate as seriously as, you know, China is. And I think it's time for the world to acknowledge that and really lean into the example they're setting with their clean energy generation. And yeah, that's going to be the way forward. Otherwise, you know, all of David Attenborough's work and all of the work of all those other climate scientists throughout the last 100 years is going to be for naught if we can't make changes.
Yeah, so true. Yeah, 100%. I feel like we should definitely take some notes on what China is working on right now. I mean, I feel like we just watched a video the other day about a data center that they have that they're like fully powering and cooling with natural energy and like not wasting a bunch of water and polluting the earth.
And they're about to be adding wind turbines to further power it. And then meanwhile, like we've got a Canadian billionaire trying to bulldoze 40,000 acres in Utah and utilize more energy than the entire state combined.
So insane.
And that's really the difference. You've got unchecked capitalism, which allows billionaires to bulldoze and destroy our protected lands and other lands and harm the environment around them completely indiscriminately. And then you've got a country with actual laws in place that protects the land and is trying to, you know, but not to be on the political realm, but it's hard not to tie these things into each other. They are all connected. All of these things intersect in some combination, and at the end of the day, we have one Earth, one planet, one environment, and humans have to protect it. Otherwise, we humans will not have anywhere to go.
Facts.
That's a fact.
Yeah, 100%.
So, so this is our video really just highlighting, you know, our appreciation for the legend David Attenborough, his 100-year birthday, and all of the awareness he's brought towards climate and nature and things over his 80 years. And this is kind of like our pledge to continue to chat about nature, chat about the environment, and continue to harp on the effects of climate change and the ecosystems that are damaged, because we think it's an important topic.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely, Millie. Yeah.
So if you made it this far,
thanks for watching.
and we'll see you next time.
See you next time.
Peace.
Bye.